All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining. We are going to kick this off today. Our agenda for the day, we'll go through some quick introductions for those of you who do not know who we are. I think we have a lot of our lovely current customers on the line, but if you do not know us, we will go through all of that. We will go through Microsoft's plans for Dynamics GP. So everything we know as of now, everything they have announced, and then sort of the tea leaves that we've been reading there as well. And then from our perspective, the top options for businesses that are preparing to leave Dynamics GP, and then the best cloud migration options based on your business type. And then we'll end with a Q&A. This is being recorded as always and will be sent to you after today's webinar along with a copy of the deck. I know that's something you all want, so rest assured we will be sending that to you. So we know there's a lot of familiar faces joining the call today, but for those of you who are not aware, we wanted to take a minute to introduce ourselves and why we're sharing our customer stories and ERP cloud information today. First of all, I am Laurel Morse. I am the ERP sales team lead, and I am moderator of today's webinar. I am joined by 3 of our resident Microsoft experts. Pat Bostic is our Microsoft Solution Strategist. Pat came to Cargus after a long career in enterprise ERP with the Microsoft mothership. He has decades of experience with multiple ERP systems, including Dynamics 365 Business Central and Finance and Supply Chain, among others. Pat's focus at Microsoft was enterprise manufacturing and distribution organizations. Charlie Savko is our Microsoft Consulting Manager. He's worked for many years as an IT director at a manufacturing organization that utilized GP before he came to Cargus. Tim Krauser, our Microsoft Account Manager, has over 20 years of experience working on various Microsoft ERP products and helps our Microsoft customers navigate their ERP systems. Cargus is an employee-owned consulting and software company based in Pennsylvania. We've been in business for 34 years, and we aim to be here for another 34, which is no small feat in today's tech landscape. We do that by treating our customers and employees with respect and by growing in a sustainable manner. No one in our entire company makes commissions, not even our salespeople, because we are consultants first. And we've chosen to represent a few pieces of software that we really believe in, namely ERP and CRM software from Microsoft, Sage Intacct, Salesforce, and HubSpot. And we also build custom solutions. In a nutshell, we help our customers select the right software, set it up, and then we train and teach our customers how to use it and help them adapt it as their needs change over time. On that note, as needs change over time, let's dig into Microsoft's plans for GP. Tim, could you walk us through everything that's going on over in GP Land?
Sure. So, we did meet a couple of months ago. I guess maybe it was 4 months ago. We have not heard anything new, earth-shattering, but just to review for those that maybe are new to this information, Microsoft will be increasing your annual renewal plan again this year, 1%. So whatever you've been paying in the past, that's going up a little bit, and it affects you. The biggest thing that I see in the landscape coming in the future is the fact that they have made a decision not to continue to sell GP to new customers after April 1st of 2025. And then they're going to actually stop selling new GP subscriptions, which is a different type of licensing that they have for GP in April 2026. We do know that they're going to be continuing to support GP in a manner by providing fixes and end of year kind of hot fixes and table for taxes. And the other thing that you're going to be continue to able to do is continue to buy business or GP licenses into the future. They use the words through 2028 and beyond, but they haven't really told us what beyond means yet. And the other thing that we're aware of, but we have not heard a number for, is the fact that if in the future, after October 1st, you want to purchase additional GP licenses, they will be more expensive. We just don't know what the number is yet. Yeah, that's about what I have for like a recap.
So what does that mean? And audience, as Tim goes through this and as we go through the content today, if you have any questions, pop them in the Q&A panel today and we can answer them at the end. So, what does that mean for them, Tim?
Well, I guess the thing that I see kind of with these changes that they're making is the biggest one is the fact that they're not selling new business after 2025. That's kind of the icing on the cake, if you will, on their plans for the future of GP. They're going to solely be relying on the user base from that point on, and they're hoping that user base will continue to transition to one of their newer products, primarily Business Central. So if you're one that has not really started to consider that migration or what that migration or transition might look like, that's kind of what we want to talk about somewhat today, and getting that planning started for you.
Yeah, because we can see that sometimes take, on the fast end, it can be 6 months. Sometimes we see it take a couple, years to complete that evaluation. Yeah. Depends on the complexity of the business completely, but yeah, it's sort of a don't wait until it's too late kind of thing. So as we talk about moving to the cloud, what would you say the benefits of moving to the cloud are?
Well, so I just had a conversation this morning with somebody. It was interesting because they're all in, which you don't hear a lot. But one of the things that they're very excited about is the fact that they don't have to manage their hardware anymore. They don't have to manage and worry about backups. They don't have to worry about whether the piece of equipment is going to be dead in the morning when they walk into the office. They don't have to really worry about any kind of other issues that might in the past have kept people up at night. The experience in the cloud is just a much more efficient way anymore of managing a software solution. Certainly the security is stronger. I've heard, and I continue to hear, well, I want to hold on to my data because I need to have it close to me. There's a security idea there, and quite frankly, I would imagine that most high schoolers could probably hack into most servers now if they really wanted to. But you get rid of some of the other issues you have with printing. If you're remote and you try to print remotely, that's a problem a lot of times. There's connection problems with trying to go through VPNs, trying to go through RDM systems. That all goes away when you're actually working in a true cloud-based solution.
Yep. And integrations, especially if they break. If you're working, with two cloud, pieces of software integrated with one another, it's API based. There's a lot. So a lot of times it's a quicker fix. It's an easier fix to repair than if you do some sort of upgrade and it breaks things. And a lot of these cloud tools are actually guaranteed not to break through updates.
Yeah, and the other thing is if you're interested or you're currently using any kind of a business intelligence tool like Power BI, getting the data out of a cloud-based solution normally is a much easier process than if you've got on-premise siloed data that you've got to try to get through a server, got to get through security to get to that kind of data. So working within the cloud environment across your whole stack of software makes utilizing a business intelligence tool much easier.
Yep. So as we continue to think about this, top alternatives to GP on the cloud, we at Cargus represent two different cloud ERP tools. We have Business Central and we have Sage Intacct. And we chose these because these are two of the very best options out there, but they definitely have pros and cons. Some are better in some arenas for different, types of businesses. So let's go through them, first at a top level, and then let's dig in by business type. So first off, let's dig into Microsoft Business Central. Pat, would you mind running us through that?
I would love to. Since we're talking about moving to the cloud, what a great choice to start any evaluation would be with Microsoft Dynamics 365. And I'll use that term Dynamics 365 to include Business Central, which is one of two Microsoft ERPs under Dynamics 365. Business Central is a perfect ERP for the small, mid-market, and emerging businesses. While Microsoft goes through and reevaluates how it's, divesting from GP, on the flip side, the investment in Dynamics 365 and apps in there like Business Central is growing proportionally on the upside with that. And they're really making their mark in that small mid-market space. Business Central, it is a comprehensive ERP solution that connects sales, service, financial management, operations, and that can be manufacturing and or distribution, as well as all the things that go around it, such as BI with Power BI and all the native integrations to help you maximize your Microsoft investment, such as Outlook, Excel, tools like Teams, Dynamics 365 CRM are all natively integrated with Business Central and the Microsoft stack. Add to that the things that come with a Microsoft subscription, such as the Power Platform in Azure to do Canvas mobile app creation with low code, no code kind of development, Power BI for your business intelligence, Power Automate for advanced workflows. All these things make Business Central, especially with its pricing models, and a very attractive solution for people looking to change from GP. And because it's a blend of financial and operational management, it's a great fit for customers in that service, manufacturing, and distribution arena. Out of the box, Business Central is a robust offering with tons of built-in functionality, but even with that, it's totally extensible with the Microsoft App Source, which is the marketplace for all additions and partner-created applications for Business Central.
Thank you, Pat. And next we have Sage Intacct. So it's a little bit different than Business Central. I would say customers choose Sage Intacct when they need the strongest financial management tool that gives them real-time visibility into their revenue, into their expenses across their entire organization, whether you're managing one entity or multiple. Intacct was founded back in 1999 privately. It was written by accountants for accountants. Sage bought it in 2017 and folded it in, under their umbrella. And even today, it's the only accounting tool that's endorsed by the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So what that means is that it's one of the best financial management tools you'll find. And it connects with other best-in-class products as well, just as Pat was saying that Microsoft does. Salesforce CRM, ADP, payroll, and HR, tons of other, they call them marketplace partners that Sage has. So you use Intacct as sort of the hub for a best-in-class GL, and then you can, if you need to, connect the spokes together with different operational tools. Reporting is where Intacct shines the brightest, as it allows you to manage unlimited dimensions, entities, locations, and business units. And you can create dashboards for every employee that they can use to drill all the way down. And because we have a large GP practice today, we've developed what we call our Lift and Shift Cloud Migration Project, which keeps the process nice and simple. Essentially, whatever you're using in GP today, we will spin up in either Business Central or Sage Intacct in order to match your current requirements and get you moving. Then, once you have your feet under you and you're used to your new cloud software, we'll explore other system enhancements that can move your business to the next level. Let's dig into it by business type. We gave you sort of a high-level overview of the two systems. Charlie, would you mind digging into what makes Business Central shine for the distribution, manufacturing, service industries?
Yep, thanks, Laurel. So Business Central provides robust functionality for distributors, manufacturers, and service organizations And it's a great choice for customers that need a unified operational system around core financials, supply chain, manufacturing, and we've got the highlights on the screen. And these are the types of businesses where we've helped customers succeed with Business Central. It is a true international product supporting multi-country, multi-language, multi-entity, multi-currency. We've been seeing a lot of customer inquiries around this multi-language and multi-nation deployment. However, not every customer is a manufacturer, distributor, or service company. It's also a great fit for companies just needing core financials, so general ledger and financial reporting, AR and AP. Particularly those that want to stay within the Microsoft stack and leverage native integration to Power Platform, Power BI, Office, Azure, and all the other great components of the Microsoft stack that Pat had mentioned. Artificial intelligence is generating a lot of discussion these days. Microsoft has taken the first step of embedding AI into the application, and they have some new additions that are in the works, and we're looking forward to seeing very soon.
I am really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing how Copilot rolls out and all the cool things they're integrating that in with product descriptions and everything. I'm stoked.
We've really just scratched the
Yeah.
surface.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Copilot.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I don't want to go too deep in this discussion because some of it in my mind is like, wow, this is too good to be true. So I need to wait until I see more.
Reel it back. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. And one of our customers, Pittsburgh Brewing Company, we were actually just talking about them. We were just talking about some of their light beer and how good it is compared to some of the other light beer on the market. Pittsburgh Brewing is actually pretty fantastic. Charlie, tell us a little about them.
Yep, so Pittsburgh Brewing is one of the oldest beer makers in the US and one of the 15 largest. They were using GP for a very long time. They found it clunky to use and struggled with how difficult it was to access customer information and a good, reliable view of inventory and operations. They were looking for a system that provided one reliable record of truth for their customer information and the business as a whole, while supporting integrations with other systems. They needed something that would help them manage their manufacturing and inventory and reduce their reliance on paper and manual processes. They chose Business Central because it gave them the ability to manage their finances as well as their operations within one system.
Yep. Let's dig into Sage Intacct next. So out of the box, Intacct provides all of the financial reports and dashboards that you'll need, whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit company. And because of the way Intacct uses dimensions, we can help you clean up your chart of accounts and use tags, basically dimensions, to report on revenue and expenses by location, by department, business unit, or even employee. One of Intacct's strongest differentiators is its ability to manage multiple entities within one login, so one environment. So when you need to do consolidations or intercompany transactions and eliminations, you can do it quickly and easily. And in fact, for things like intercompany do-tos and do-froms, a lot of it gets done behind the scenes automatically for you so that you're not, some users and some systems have to log in and out between multiple things, multiple environments, make sure you're in the right thing. Intacct takes care of it for you behind the scenes. It's pretty slick. If you're a nonprofit, Intacct also helps track your grants, keeps track of related expenses, and then can file out for reimbursements for you. As you receive revenue, it can track its restriction level and help you automatically release that revenue when appropriate. In the healthcare space, Intacct is HIPAA compliant and can integrate with electronic health record systems. And because we have our own operational software for fuel delivery companies, we wrote an integration to Sage Intacct so that you get the best operations software in Cargus Energy tied to the best financial software in Sage Intacct. We have a previous GP customer who switched to Sage Intacct, a nonprofit healthcare organization. Actually, they are located in the Midwest. They had been on GP for ages and they realized that they were growing and it was time to make an upgrade. They were operating a network of 6 different software systems. So to say they lacked reliable visibility into their financials would be an understatement. They chose to implement Sage Intacct with Cargus, with the goal of condensing systems into a single source of truth and maximizing what their lean accounting team could do in a day. Today, Intacct's budgeting functionality allows them to budget and forecast more quickly since they aren't emailing spreadsheets around and trying to catch mistakes. And they use Intact's built-in financial reports and dashboards to give their board and leadership team visibility into their numbers on a real-time basis. Their CFO was our main point of contact during the implementation, and she said that in her experience, working with other software vendors over the years, her experience with Cargus was, quote, 1,000 times better. So all of that to say, we represent Business Central and Sage Intacct for a reason. We think their tools are the best that there are, and we have teams that have implemented this over decades. Tim, would you mind walking us through some of the experience that we have here at Cargus?
Sure. So as Charlie mentioned a little while ago in one slide, we have an extensive background of companies that are in manufacturing, distribution, or a combination of both. We've been working with these types of companies for well over 20 years, probably 25 years in our existence. Some of those are pictured up here on the screen. You can see them. But we try very hard to tailor each one of these specific to the customer's needs. It's not a one thing fits all. We know that. So even though we might have a couple dozen manufacturing companies, we know they all do things a little differently. And the strength of Business Central is that we can tailor it to that particular need. Also within the distribution marketplace, it's pretty much the same. You think, well, they're just bringing items into the shelf, they're taking them off the shelf. And that's true to a point, but every one of them is a little different. We try real hard, like I said, to tailor that implementation to whatever that company's expectations are. One of the really strong parts about about Cargus is the fact that we do this with an in-house team. We don't farm these implementations out. They're all done based out of Pennsylvania. We will travel to see customers when it's appropriate and it's required, or we feel it's necessary, or the customer feels it's necessary. But one of the things you'll find with us, as some of our customers have, is we're pretty flexible, and we want, as one of our teamwork things and our mantra is concerned, is we want to make sure that the customer gets everything they expected from us.
Thank you, Tim. So let's move into the Q&A portion here, because I think we have a fair number of these queued up. So I'm nervous about moving my data to the cloud. I prefer a server that I own. What's your take?
Well, I kind of already answered that one, I think, but in the beginning. But one of the things that most if you do a search on Google, you're going to find that in most cases, cloud-based solutions are much more secure than your on-premise, in the closet, locked away on-premise server is going to be. I actually worked for a partner before coming to Cargus, and we had a specialist in helping customers try to lock down their systems. And he didn't take him long at all to roll up to a business and be sitting on their servers. So while I understand, that you like to have that data close by, you feel it's secure, the statistics will tell us that really you're much safer in a cloud environment.
Yeah, and I think, Tim, we're also seeing that those on-prem servers are more easily breached because of misconfiguration or weak password policies. And when we're looking at cloud systems like Sage Intacct and Microsoft Business Central, you have single sign-on, which actually improves security, and multi-factor authentication, which further adds another layer.
Yep. Cool. What happens to all my business data if I move to the cloud? Does it come with me? Yeah, it does. So we depend, it doesn't matter which one you choose, whether it's Business Central or Intacct. Part of your implementation process will be migrating your historical data onto that platform. Or we do work with other services as well. If you want extensive years, sort of backup, we can do that as well. But part of your implementation will be migrating your historical data. And when it comes to ownership of your data, that is always yours. Your business data is always your business data. So no matter what system it's being housed in, that should not be a concern of yours. What is the first step if I move to the cloud? So the first step with Cargus would be a conversation about where have you been and where do you want to go? So what systems have you been on? Tell me about all of the different software systems that you're using. Are they integrated together? Are you manually importing journal entries for stuff? What's it looking like for you today in your business? And where do you want to go? So what problems need to be solved first? Think of it like crawl, walk, run. What problems need to be solved first? Where is the pain the greatest? And then what can we consider in a phase 2 or a phase 3 down the road? So the first year moving from an on-premises software to a cloud software, we'll think of that as phase 1, and we'll talk you through that. What are your options for different budgetary scenarios, different needs-based scenarios? We will make a recommendation. Is it intact? Is it Business Central? Or is it something else entirely? We get those as well, where we would love to work with everybody, but sometimes we make the recommendation that there's a system out there that's actually going to be better for you. So we do that evaluation of where have you been, where do you want to go? We make the recommendation, and then we would give you basically an idea of, hey, this is what your first year would look like cost-wise, resource investment-wise. So what's it going to take you to move in terms of your money and also the people on your team? Because we know this is not your full-time job. Looking for an ERP tool, implementing an ERP tool is not your full-time job. It's ours. So we sort of walk you through the process. But the first thing is just to consider, where have you been and where do you want to go? How much effort will be required on my end to move to the cloud?
So yeah.
Tim said that's a Charlie question.
Yeah, we generally tell customers that for every hour that a Cargus consultant is putting in, it's going to be about half hour of effort on the customer part, and that's for activities such as verifying data conversion and verifying the system configuration, testing, and internal training. And I think the word testing sometimes gets a little glossed over, so let's call it practicing. You need to spend the time getting acclimated to your new system so that on the day to go live, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, we try to break it before you do.
Right.
Get in the system before you're live, try to break everything you possibly can so that after you go live, you're not, it's not breaking that. But we do stay with you through that. So, on our end, obviously we will help you through the implementation. We're going to give you all the training that you need to empower you to use the system after you go live. But we don't just push the button and let go of the steering wheel. Like we stay with you through month-end close, through bank reconciliation, printing checks, making sure that everything works the way that it needs to. So there's a bit required on your end, but we help you. And then here's the existential question to beat them all. Why is Microsoft making us move from GP? I mean, I guess I'll say they're not necessarily, but who wants?
So
Tim?
I would say that's true. They're not making you do anything. You certainly remain on GP for as long as your servers last and as long as GP will allow you to log into it, which we know is until 2028 at least. Even if Microsoft abandons GP as far as they're not going to support it anymore, your system will continue to work. So you're not being forced to do it. But in today's business environment, with some of the things we've already talked about, like security, we've had customers, small to mid-sized customers who have been attacked, who have been brought down for weeks at a time from a security standpoint. It's crippled them because their systems were exposed. We've also seen this move to be able to be more efficient with the software that's available. Microsoft, for instance, and Sage Intacct spend a lot of dollars on improving their systems. And GP really hasn't seen any of those kind of improvements, questionably, for probably 10 years. There's been little improvements, there's been some add-ons, but overall, when you look at the system, if you happen to be running an old version and you looked at the new version, you would pretty much say, well, that's the same thing. It's the same old thing. So it's a little stodgy, it can be cumbersome, you know it, so you love it. But in today's new business environment, you make money by being more efficient and being quicker at things. And that's kind of what Business Central and or Sage Intacct can deliver.
Yeah, and that sort of segues into a question here. I've got at least 2 more years left with my server. Shouldn't I just stick it out? I mean, you absolutely can. I would say we've seen an explosion in hardware costs, right? Recently, explosion in all costs recently, right? So, I mean, that's entirely up to you. I would suggest that you at least start thinking about, again, where you've been and where you want to go, because that is a little bit of a stopgap, right? That's like saying, you know, I've got a quarter tank left. Can't I drive this forever? Well, at some point, you're going to need to stop and get gas. And, you know, what does that look like?
Or fixing the barn door after the cows come home.
Right.
So yeah, you definitely have that 2-year runway to begin the planning and conversion process.
Right.
Now, so that as those servers need to be retired, you're already in the cloud.
Yep. Specifically Business Central. Does Business Central have a warehouse management system as a module?
Okay, I'll take that. The answer is yes. With Business Central and even with the Essentials license, you do get warehouse management as part of the ERP solution in Business Central. Basic warehousing can be as simple as setting up a warehouse. Business Central calls that a location. You can have multiple locations or multiple warehouses in Business Central, even under the basic configuration. And that might include bins, it might include serial and lot tracking, and it might use, you know, picks and putaways that you would expect in any kind of a basic inventory kind of a system. Now, on the other hand, it can be extended to be an advanced warehousing solution. So Business Central supports not only bins, but it supports zones for zone picking. It can do directed picks and putaways within that the application. You can require whether shipments, putaways, picks are mandatory or not. You can do cross-docking with the advanced configuration of Business Central and all the rules that go around that, as well as even tracking outbound and inbound warehouse handling times. So that's all part of the out-of-the-box warehouse management within Business Central. It can be extended, so many people who are running warehousing today also equate that with barcode. And so we do have a solution for Business Central, becomes part of Business Central that kind of takes all the transactions you would do manually and put them on a handheld device for barcode scanning, the ability to do license plating and more advanced things come with that solution as well.
And in contrast to Intacct, Intacct is not. I mean, I just would not recommend customers in that space to evaluate Intacct for that purpose. Intacct has very light inventory warehouse tools, not even close to what BC has. So if that's your industry, if that's one of your top concerns, I think BC is a fantastic tool for that. What's it cost to move my system to the cloud? I will say in general, we've got 2 different pricing models here. So Intacct is SaaS-based, right? So you've got a yearly subscription and you've got implementation. We see it's usually 1-to-1. So whatever you pay for your subscription is usually what you're going to pay year 1 in implementation as well. That's for Sage Intacct. Business Central is a little bit different. Your licensing fee will typically be a bit less than Intact. So on an annual basis, your cost will be less. Your implementation will typically be more. So it'll be a little bit more front loaded. Now, that said, obviously we have a GP practice. We know GP. We can keep costs down just by virtue of our expertise there. So when you're working with a company like Cargus, where we represent multiple systems, we've got decades of experience in multiple systems. We could work in GP and move things over blindfolded. Might be a little bit of an exaggeration as Charlie smiles at you. Disagree? Okay, maybe not blindfolded. Or maybe not.
One hand.
I won't make you do that. But yeah, so essentially we can always help to keep your costs down when you're moving off of GP to either system. All right, let's wrap it up. So as we move forward, we have a few more webinars coming up in this series. So keep an inbox on your eye. Yep, that's how that goes for the invitations for those. We're digging in a little bit deeper into what if you transition from GP to Intact? What if you transition from GP to Business Central? What are your options there? What does that look like? We have some coming up in that series. We've created an ERP migration toolkit that includes information on both BC and Sage Intact, as well as some software agnostic buyer's guides. So visit that toolkit for demos, for industry reviews, for stories from our customers, things like that. If you're ready to discuss your migration options and your pricing, please reach out to Julie Fuller. Julie is a migration specialist here on the ERP team. She will promptly coordinate your next steps. And she will get you aligned with the best resources here at Cargus, depending on what your business looks like and what you're looking for. For additional resources, remember this will be provided to you in the handouts after today's meeting, so you can peruse these additional resources, including information about Business Central and Sage Intact, as well as those customer stories. So thank you everyone for joining today. Appreciate your attention, appreciate your questions. That was a great conversation. And remember, the recording of this and the handout will hit your inbox shortly. Thanks everyone, bye-bye.